3. If you can't count higher than 3, then that is a lot. All right, so first I need to thank St. Cloud Out for helping to organize this event. You know, they help make the GBLT community feel accepted and connected, and that should be their slogan. I'm going to copyright that. So it's great for everything that they do for the GBLT community here in St. Cloud. Also want to thank DJ Kira in the back. You guys may know her. Yes, give it up for her. She helped, you know, tell me all about this and get me up here. So if you have anybody to blame, it's her. All right, and I also want to thank Rum Runners for, you know, putting something like this on, and especially again for the GBLT community. And you know, this place kind of had an image where it was a little bit rednecky. Come on, you know what I'm talking about.
It's true.
Thank you. I needed a witness. Thank you. Be helpful if you weren't loaded already. But anyway. All right. So again, want to thank them. And really, I thought the only place I could do gay comedy was at a gay bar, but that's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. And so it's really nice to do it here. I remember though, I tried to call a gay bar in the cities, and it wasn't the gay 90s because I knew it couldn't compete with the drag queens. And it wasn't the saloon because I knew I couldn't compete with the new dude in the shower. Nobody leave to go see that. Okay, the only way you're gonna walk out is if I offend you. And don't worry, we'll get to that in a minute. So it's really great to be here, and I hope you guys have a great time. And again, this isn't a rednecky bar. I come from a town with 350 people, so I know exactly what that's about. My boyfriend and I were in the bar, and it was right after the election, and it was hunting season, and this guy comes in, and he's in all blaze orange, except for his Duck Unlimited hat, which was camouflage. And he just starts up right away with the bartender, and he says to her, "I can't believe that the marriage amendment was voted down here in Minnesota. What's that about?" And she just said, "You know, I was one of the people that voted against it, and I don't believe in discriminating against people." And the best part was all the people at the bar agreed with her, probably because they wanted to keep drinking, but still, they agreed. But he was not done there. After that, he said something like, "Well, what's stopping people from marrying their dog?" And my poor boyfriend was with me, and he had laryngitis at the time, so he piped up, and again, I use the term loosely, "A dog can't sign a marriage contract." And either that dude didn't hear him or he didn't care, because he was not done yet. After that, he said, "Well, what's keeping me from marrying my sister?" So I had had enough. So I went over to this guy. I put my arm around him and I get right up in his face. And I say, "Well, what's the matter, Bubba? You asked your sister and she said no." And before he could react, I do my little gay runaway, and I go over to the jukebox and I play "It's Raining Men." And everybody there had a gay old time, and that's what I hope we can do tonight. Are you in? Woo! All right. Now looking at me, you can tell that I'm different from you guys. I am, and sometimes it's painful for me how different that I am. And I've been different my entire life. Since the day I was born, I've been different. That's right, I'm a big old queen, motherfuckers. Thank you. All right. I like them. All right, so, but in all seriousness, I really think it's funny that people look at me and it's more obvious to them that I like dick than it is that I sit in this. That's the first question I get all the time. People come up to me, "Are you gay?" "Yeah." "Okay." But growing up with a disability was not easy. You know, ever since I was a kid, growing up with cerebral palsy, all my doctors, my teachers, any adult would refer to my cerebral palsy as CP. So that's what I called it. And I met my first friend in kindergarten, and we had a play date, and lo and behold, the question came up, "Why are you in the wheelchair?" And so I just said to her, "I have CP." This little girl turned white as a ghost and looked at me and she goes, "CP, is that chickenpox? I haven't get it. I haven't had that. I can't believe it's so bad. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. You need to leave right now." That really did happen. All right, but I do appreciate kids and their innocence and curiosity. I remember when I was in first grade, we had a field trip to the bakery in town, and we learned about bread making and how yeast is involved in the process. And so it was the end of the day, my dad was right there, ready to take me home, but before leaving, I go up to my teacher, Mrs. Johnson, and I say, Mrs. Johnson. I did have a higher voice back then, if you can believe it. Mrs. Johnson, if I eat too much bread, will I get a yeast infection? And I tell you what, her reaction was exactly the same as the little girl I just described. She couldn't get me out of there quick enough. All right, so fast forward to high school, and I remember it was my first day, sophomore year, and I got stuck behind the cheerleaders in line for lunch that day. And I remember the middle one, her name was Molly, and she was going on and on and on about how her cheerleading uniform was making her chafe and making her really itchy in places where you don't want to be itchy. And her bitch friend, Carrie, turns to her and said, oh yeah, it's really the outfit and not the fact that you've been sleeping with Tommy, the quarterback, who's been known to pass around more than a football. Already being outdone by the bitch cheerleader friend, I needed to make a joke, so I had my moment just a second later. So Molly goes on, and she goes on to say, well, no, my butt itches too. So I look her square in the eye and I say, well, honey, maybe your crabs are moving south for the winter. Oh. And you know what she did? She did what you guys did. She laughed. And to this day, we're still friends. And I remember in math one time, we were sitting around. It was more like an episode of Sex and the City. We didn't get any math done, but we did talk a lot about her boyfriend. And the thing is, I knew this guy, so I learned way more about this guy than what I needed to know. But anyway, his penis came up in the conversation. And she said, and this is a direct quote. I'm not lying to you people, direct quote. She said, his penis is the size of a mechanical pencil without the eraser part. I just love how specific she was. And for you guys, I bought a prop. Without the eraser part, it comes in at just a little bit under 5 inches. That poor bastard. So fast forward to, hold that. Fast forward to out of high school, I start working at an elementary school in that same town. And my boss there was a pencil pusher, so he got out of there. And I ended up on the interview committee trying to, find a new principal. So lo and behold, all the interviews are done, it's the end of the day, and we're in the lounge enjoying the meal that was provided for everyone on the committee. And the superintendent starts in, and he says, oh, I'm so glad that my wife was along, because she's a real estate agent. Of course she was along. I mean, with the economy the way it is, what else is she going to do as a real estate agent? Anyway, she was there, and she was there because she could legally ask all the people that were there if they were going to move to the area, because legally we can't, because that would be discrimination. So fine, he's going on and on about how great she is. And then a woman on the panel, who's a pistol, and I love her, said, oh, well, it does help that someone on this panel is sleeping with her. And to play up with the joke, the superintendent just goes, oh, well, I wonder who that would be. I can't explain what happened next. I don't know what came over me at the moment, but I just went, sorry, it's me. I'm still working there, and what's more fun than working with the staff is working with the kids. And I was working with a first grader, and we were learning multiples at the end of the word, and the word was pickle. And he knew the LE part of it, but he couldn't say pick. So I'm brainstorming, how am I going to get this poor kid to say pick? So I looked straight at him and I said, well, what am I doing? Thinking he would say, picking your nose. Well, he looks at me, straight faced, and he just says, getting boogers? Now I work with second grade. It was the end of the day, and all the kids, were getting ready to go home. And one kid's kind of tearing up a little bit, and I'm like, what's wrong, buddy? And he said, I'm sad because I'm moving somewhere 14 hours away. And another kid overheard and said, oh, you're moving to St. Cloud? and this kid the sad kid goes, no, I'm moving to Tennessee. I'm really gonna miss living in America. So not long ago, we had Dental Appreciation Week, and we had a dentist come in, and he talked to all the kids, and he was talking to the first graders, and he asked them, what's a bad beverage for your teeth? Well, he calls on one kid, and he said, okay, well, what's one bad beverage for your teeth? The kid looks up at him and he says, whiskey? Now, I can certainly say that is bad. I actually came out to my father while drinking whiskey. Right out of the bottle, 2/3 of the way down. And I'm in the kitchen and he's got the TV on. And a commercial came on for the news that night. And they were talking about Prop 8 in California and, the same-sex marriage ban. So I stumble over to him and I say, that marriage stuff they're talking about? Someday, that's gonna be me. That's right, I'm gay. He looks over at me, and he's got this puzzled, troubled look on his face. Looks over and he says, not now, Big Brother is on. But we have grown closer than that since then. And he calls me from time to time, and the first thing he asks me is, how are you and your boyfriend Jake doing? Yes, I used your name. All right, so, and I love that. I love that he knows my boyfriend by name. And I hope after tonight, you guys do too. Thank you so much. All right, next up for you tonight is John, and he's different than me. He's straight, and he's gonna really try to convince you that he's straight.